Welcome back to the Packers Corner. Schmitty, still on the schneid. No wins on the season thus far. We'll talk about that, and we're happy to see Schmitty has no wins because it means another win for the Green Bay Packers. Going to break down the game against the Rams and look forward towards the Cardinals. Also, got a little bit to talk about on the New York Jets front with our old quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. We'll see you on the other side.
Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. In our business, there is no second place. Either you're first or you're last.
It was named after Vince Lombardi. You play in Green Bay. As important as it is to any other team, it means more to us.
When he walked into the meeting, he looked us right in the eye. He said, "Gentlemen, we're going to relentlessly chase perfection."
My first thought was, on any play with my arm strength, I may not let anybody know this, but my first thought was home run.
On every play.
On every play.
He did what? Fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No!
Glad to be with you here, gentlemen. We got a W, but maybe a little bit left to be desired. What was your overall feel on the game there, Dad? How do you feel about us moving forward as well?
Well, we came dangerously close to Schmitty breaking through and having his prognostication come into fruition there, and I kind of felt it coming on at the end. Took a play by one of our young players there, and I've been saying for a long time we need to decide collectively as a team that who's going to put their foot in the ground and say, not on my watch. Dontavian Wicks, a little, special inside message here. Let's pick it up a little bit. Let's watch the ball into our hands. He had a chance to end the game, but he didn't do it, so Evan Williams did. The young rookie defensive back who's playing fantastic in being able to fill in with Jair out. So thanks to Mr. Williams. We got a play at the end. Thanks to the green and gold cape. Certainly a candidate for the green and gold cape has to be Xavier McKinney and Tucker Kraft. Those guys both made two plays that changed the game. And so we got a W, and it feels a little bit like last year, Schmitty. We're just not clicking, but we got the W, so I guess you can't complain. NFC win, we look back later in the year, and we might be real happy to have that one.
Yeah, we got a golden cape. We got, the green and gold cash, or the cheese-filled cash, rather. We got the frozen mustache. Schmitty, did you have a frozen mustache to give out in the early going?
Griffey, I want to give frozen mustaches out to the entire edge rush that we put out on the field. I would rather have, and everyone knows how much of a roller coaster of emotions that I am, and it's no surprise. All it took was one name to set me off, and I couldn't agree more. Thanks to Nick Deeden to sending this to me today. Dayton Jones. I would rather have maybe Dayton Jones than Lucas Van Ness and Rashawn Gary coming off the edges right now. Why is it that Rashawn Gary just goes right into the heart of the tackle and just gets stonewalled every time? Why is it that Lucas Van Ness goes up the field 10 yards and trips over his own feet? I don't get it, Griffey. If we're going to send four, they have to be really good. We are not. And so how this hasn't bit us in the butt recently, I'm surprised. On Sunday, our interior, Devontae Wyatt, he's a stud, Griffey. Kenny Clark, stud. We were getting pressure like 5-6 yards up between the guards. And yet we couldn't disrupt their offense. And had it not been for performances by Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney, having the second and third ranked PPF rankings for their positions, I don't know if we get the job done. That was a game we weren't supposed to win, honestly, is how I came away from it. You had a lucky play to Jaden Reed when there was triple coverage. We were not supposed to catch that ball. Jordan Love throws an atrocious interception. Griffey, we're starting to stack these really bad plays by Jordan Love, plays that are inexcusable, and yet he did another one, puts us down
I mean,
in a
that was one of
hole.
the most beautiful throws I've ever seen in my life. That was incredible.
Griffey,
Was it a little bit fortunate? Sure. Sure.
Okay.
We'll get into that interception. What were you saying? You were rolling. I didn't mean to
Yeah,
break your
no, I
stride.
mean, yeah, no, you're fine. I mean, he put us in a really bad spot by throwing that interception. He had no business doing that. Thank God the kicker missed the extra point. I'm just really I'm really concerned actually after that win, because look at how good we've been in the turnover battle. Like that's not something you can count on week in, week out. That at some point dries up or doesn't exist next week, for example. And who's to say if we don't win the turnover battle again, if Xavier McKinney doesn't save us, what does the outcome look like? I don't know if we're on the good end of this. And so I'm just I'm calling Robert Saleh right now, and I'm hoping we can get him in the building pronto.
What do you want to do with him? You're getting rid of Jeff Halfley. He's got to get a little bit of maybe a cheese-filled cashier or something for his efforts in concocting some of these turnovers and putting us in the right position to make them happen.
Players make plays, Griffey. That's not the coaches. That's not Xavier McKinney's making those plays, not Mr. Jeff Halfley. Xavier's just an all-pro safety. That's not much of a scheme. You just put the safety back there and he makes plays. We just so happen to have the best one in the league to do it. If Halfley was so good, we would have schemed up so much more pressure than we have. I'm getting sick and tired of sending 4 and not having much to show for it.
Well, the Rams, of course, had their top 2 receiving targets out as well here. And we were down Jair Alexander. I look forward to him coming back, hopefully, in the not-too-distant future. Dad, how are you feeling about Halfley as compared to where we were a year ago with your dear friend Joe Barry?
Well, first of all, I resonate with Schmitty on the defensive line play, and it was very frustrating. And I felt our offensive line was soft in the first half, too. We weren't getting the running game going. It was just looked like a little bit of a lackluster deal, guys. Like the Rams, it was a more desperate team, a more physical team. They were winning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And there's your Rashawn Gary play right there where he's just straight up the field. Do you remember the last time we saw a swim move or a spin move or some kind of a loop or a tackle and, swap there? There's just nothing. So, what gives me hope, Schmitty, as I analyzed this and thought, what hope is there if we're going to develop a pass rush and these guys aren't getting it done? Well, Devontae Wyatt did not play in this game, right? He had the ankle. And so you got hope there, and you got a tremendous amount of hope in a young man named Edgerrin Cooper, who shows some flash and some ability to, I think they said he blitzed 5 times, and 4 of the 5 times the pass was incomplete. 2 of them were sacks, and the third one was a short gain. So you have to have some heart there, and you have to believe Halfley's going to have to start scheming some of that stuff up. He needs to think about blitzing off the edge with Javon Bullard and some of these other young guys. They probably just aren't to the point where they're quite ready for all that yet. But guys, we're going to know in the next 4 games what we got here. It just seems, are we going to come out of the funk like we did last year and then maybe survive this funk? If you remember last year, we lost 4 in a row.
There's your pass rush at the end when we needed it, huh?
Well, sure, yeah. By the way, Schmitty, Preston Smith absent AWOL also on the day. So there's my hope that we're going to get Cooper. Edgerrin Cooper needs to be on the field. We need to get to the point where he's on the field 80% of the time instead of 20%. And this Evan Williams needs to get on the field. So he was only there because Jair Alexander was out for today, and they moved Nixon over to the edge corner and put Evans at safety and moved Javon Bullard down to slot corner, which was an amazing thing for a rookie to do, go to a second position. So there's a lot of angst, there's a lot of concern, but there's some high points too. And I think, we're going to play this week? We got Arizona. Then we got the Jaguars somewhere in there, and
Houston, then Jacksonville.
Houston, then the Jaguars, and then Detroit. So after these, and then we got the bye. We're going to know after these next 4 games where we are. Maybe things will look different. But let me say this: a little ray of sunshine, Schmitty. Maybe you can get that. I don't know if it's enough to get the champagne out, but at least get the paper clips and the forks out of the electrical outlets here. The difference between us and the division leading Vikings is simply the place kicker. The Vikings kicker made a 54 and a 50-yarder against the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers absolutely pooped the bed. Otherwise, the Jets would have won the game. The kicker made his kicks against us when our kicker didn't. So all that's the difference between us and the leading Vikings is the kicker. And the kicker did better this time. So there's a little ray of sunshine. Get the paper clips out of the outlet there, buddy. You're going to be okay.
We also saw the defense win the game at the end of the game. When's the last time you guys can recall us finishing with a stop from the defense? You know, it always took us to put that final dagger in. We get the dagger call from Wayne Larrivee. There was no dagger call this week until the final whistle blew. And the defense stepped up when we needed them to. So I was encouraged by that. Schmitty, do you have anything positive to say at the defense? Can you come up with anything for me?
I mean, you have an all-pro and Xavier McKinney, and Evan Williams looks really good. Those are great pieces. Javon Bullard stepping up and playing the slot role. Incredible stuff by him. Griffey, I blame Ja partly because he, I was low on him going into the season, and here he is now, 2 weeks in of a groin injury that it seems like we were kind of left in the dark on this, and so I'm with that. It elevates some of the roles of some of the other secondary guys, and so I'm really pleased with how that group has responded.
Well, except for Eric Stokes, it's kind of tough to watch him run around out there some of the time.
He's on the sideline sometimes now, which is good. So at least there's some decisions being made. They recognize that he maybe isn't all that, and we have better options. So the coaching staff, maybe I give them a little nod and that they're making some better judgments there. The interior, I think our tackles, Griffey, one of the deepest, maybe the best group in the NFL. That's how highly I think of Wyatt, Slayton, Kenny. That's just a really solid group and one that you can rely upon. That'll take you till the end of the season. And I totally agree with Gar. The fact that McDuffie is still playing snaps over Cooper right now is an absolute crime. Cooper is an electric player, and he should continue to see more snaps as we progress.
Absolutely will. He absolutely will. I got good news for you guys. He will. There's no doubt. We got to talk a little bit about the wide receiver core. We had the enigmatic week from Romeo Doubs, and maybe we all have a little bit more sympathy for his outburst after seeing this week. I don't know. We'll see what you guys think on that. Additionally, we got to give a frozen mustache to Dontavian Wicks. What the heck is going on there? So, Dad, what are your thoughts on the status of the receiving core?
Well, I was kind of down on Dobbs and a little bit disgruntled and a little disgusted with the behavior I heard, but now I'm ready to say, do whatever he says. I mean, let's get him the ball. Put Wicks on the sideline, sit him down until he can figure out, how to, what do we say? You got the triangle here, or you got the pinkies together, right? I mean, you don't go like this with your hands apart, let the ball go right through when the game's on the line, and Wicks everybody's going to miss a ball, okay? We get that. But Wicks has been way disproportionately. What did he have? 13 targets against the Vikings and got 5. He had 8 or 9 targets in this game and got 2 or 3 and dropped.
I believe he's leading in the league in dropped passes. If not, he's one behind, and he didn't play a ton the first couple weeks. So yeah, it's been rough.
And we're happy for you. The coach is saying we're coming right back to you and all this nonsense. I'm saying you're going to sit your rear end down on the bench. We're going to put Dobbs in and show you how to catch the football. And then if you work hard enough in practice, you might get back out on the field. But I guess I'm just a little grouchy about it. We can't have this kind of nonsense. And so, as I say, very reminiscent of last year. A lot of young guys that aren't stepping up, but then we pointed out some guys who did step up. We had enough of them step up in this game, so we got the victory. So I see that as some progress. I also see, Schmidt, it's a game where we were lackluster. We didn't have the energy. We didn't come in, the desperate team, and somehow we came out with a victory. Our kicker made his kicks. Our punter went to the dogs this time, Schmidt. So, you got a bucket with a hole in it, and you plug up the hole and another hole opens up. So we got to see when we're going to get some consistency here, because it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. But it's early in the season, as I say. Vikings got lucky to win that ball game, and we got to get into Aaron Rodgers a little bit. So, I was kind of disgusted about Love, and then I watched Aaron Rodgers, and I just went, "Oh, praise the Lord! Thank God we don't have to deal with that show over there. That is just brutal."
Well, before we get into that, Schmidt, I just want to, when you see Dontavian Wicks go out there and throw up all over himself, do you have any sympathy for the outburst that Romeo Doubs had this week?
I went back and forth on it a little bit. I heard Matt LaFleur's press conference yesterday that, Romeo up until this point had no outbursts. That he had gained credibility amongst the coaches in the locker room. He's a pretty even-keeled guy. I think in every interview that we've watched, he's just a pretty down-to-earth, matter-of-fact guy. Kept his head down and just went to work. So it was very surprising to hear that this was the outburst, and maybe it was it'll be to our benefit that he just comes in this week on Monday locked in, ready to go for a new week to take it to the Cardinals. Part of me, Griffey, and I think where I want to go with this is that you simply can't have this behavior in the locker room. I don't have any appreciation for it. There's other teams that put up with a lot more diva, if you will, with players, but players that are X factors. And Romeo Doubs, while he's good, he's not at that X factor level. And certainly we have a deep wide receiver room. We thought we did. So I continue to go back and forth on this. So whether we give Romeo the pass on this, and I think, does he come out this week against the Cardinals and does he put on a performance? Do we target him 10 times? Does he catch 9 of the 10? I think all is forgotten, because then that means Wicks is on the sideline and we're back to the Dobbs show. I don't think then there's a problem. But if this becomes a festering issue, you're going to have Packers fans asking for his head up until the trade deadline passes.
Yeah, Packer fans won't put up with something like that if the performance isn't there. And it got to that same point with your buddy number 12 for us, didn't it, Schmitty? Aaron Rodgers at the end of his tenure. The diva to talent and performance ratio got a little out of whack, and we shipped him off to the East Coast. Now, what the heck's going on with their coaching situation? Do you have your finger on the pulse of what we saw happen with Saleh getting the oust today?
Yeah, Robert Saleh's out, the defensive coordinator. He is now the head guy. I thought, but when they announced Saleh going, I thought, are we going to see a Hackett Rodgers? What year was it that we led I think we broke records as far as our red zone percentage for touchdowns with the Packers. I thought it was going to be Hackett's job, truthfully, even though I know it didn't go so well for him with the Broncos. That's really all I have for a pulse on that situation. Now, people are coming at me about Rodgers, and he's the sole factor in why Mike McCarthy's gone, and why he even calling for LaFleur to leave at one time. Guys, please, okay, it's not Aaron's deal. Aaron has no part in this. All right, I want everyone to calm down. It's all upper management. Aaron Rodgers just does a job. Okay. An upstanding quarterback in this league, has a long tenure of being a very high caliber performer. Okay. He is to be left alone. Griffey, you're asking the wrong person. I'll die in the foxhole with Aaron Rodgers. I won't hear it I won't hear any slander against the guy. He's my favorite player of all time. I absolutely love him. I'd kiss him on the mouth today if he asked me to. Okay. So I don't want to, I'm not going down there. You're not going to get an answer or response out of me. I'm not going to be needled by you. Pass it to Gar.
Yeah, well, I do want to hear his thoughts in response to what you just had to say there.
Who am I now? Aaron Rodgers, after about every third down, when he comes off the field, pitiful body language, sits by himself, ostracized by the players. Nobody's talking to each other, no pepping each other up. The antithesis of Aaron Jones. And hey, Schmitty, I agree. We loved Aaron Rodgers while he was here, but I don't know what's happened to the guy. He's gone loopy. And just thank goodness that we got a young group of guys that are together. You know, one day Aaron will retire. He'll gain some perspective. He'll come back. We'll have a big party for him. The stadium will be full. We'll cheer and so forth. But I just tell you what, right now it is brutal. Did you see him overthrow Garrett Wilson by 10 yards wide open for a touchdown? I mean, and then underthrow the guy on the most important play of the game for the game-ending interception. Now, guys, we've seen this. I never would have believed it. I watched Aaron Rodgers go 3 and out 3 times in a row in the NFC Championship with a chance to take the lead over Tom Brady. I thought it would have absolutely set a cherry on top of the Sunday that is his career. He couldn't get it done. He couldn't get it done the next year against San Francisco when he had only needed 1 score in the second half. He has not been the same guy, and it's kind of sad to watch. I hope, I was cheering for him hard, Schmitty. I want him to beat the Vikings, and he had every opportunity to do it there. So hopefully he gets it squared away and the Jets play better, but I am just thankful as can be. Now, in Schmitty's defense, I gotta come with something positive for Schmitty here. He's gonna like this. He predicted at the beginning of the year that Kingsley Enagbare would be a key in the pass rush, and Enagbare was the only ray of hope. He punched the ball out, Schmitty, which changed the game. McKinney gets that fumble recovery. He gets the interception. Tucker Kraft makes 2 plays in the second half. So your boy Enagbare is a ray of hope along the defensive line and something we can rally around. So there it is. The good, the bad, and the ugly all in one fell swoop.
I teased that we were going to take a look back at the throw that had everyone scratching their heads for Jordan Love this week. Looked a little bit, it looked like Will Levis is what it looked like, that throw that he had against the Bears in week 1, but maybe Favre you could say. But I thought Kurt Benkert here had a little bit of an interesting take on this play. So I'm curious to get your guys' reaction on this. Let's take a look.
All right, we're going to break down Jordan Love's interception that he threw, the pick 6. And the Packers almost had one of the most diabolical plays of all time, but they mistargeted it. And people ripped Jordan Love on social media all across the board for this play. And this play actually was a tremendous play by him. And if his guys don't stop, then it's null and void. It doesn't matter. Look at this play design. So it's going to be a sprint out, set up with a throwback on 3rd and long. Now, targeting-wise, when you run a normal sprint out, everybody here just goes gap to the right. Running back comes and seals off on the edge. However, when you have a sprint out that sets up, you've got to be responsible for a man on a man. So you have 3 up on the right, 3 up on the left. Split this down the middle. We should be 3 up on the right, and these 3 should be accounted for by these 3. And these guys should be able to slow play and peel back for these 3. That's how it should go. Tell me what happens. You have elephants on brigade here, 4 pushing right to block what ends up being 2, not 3. And then you have on this left side, 1, 2, 3 for 3.
Walker looks lost.
However, he comes down, which makes him have to take most dangerous on the inside, which means that he's now, if he wants to play ball, has to pop back around to get 0. And this is all messed up. But look at this play call. Imagine if these 2 are taken care of by the right targeting on this left side, pre-snap wise. You've got a boot out and a setup that Jordan is not expecting zero to be in his shit. And look at this right here. On 3rd and long backed up, you have a wide open receiver that Jordan's going to be able to hit if they just target this right. You can tell he messed up. I don't know what he's coached to do, but I can't make assumptions. But if they do what I believe they should be doing, Jordan's going to sprint out, set up, and rip this. Jordan goes to set this, and the last thing he's expecting is zero to be in his shit. Now, zero hits him. Jordan has enough awareness to be like, oh shit, this is going to be a safety. Let me ditch this ball where my throwaway is. But his throwaway stops playing football. Kraft, love you. You've been a dog this year. But Kraft stops playing football right here. And this guy does not stop playing football. So Jordan Love on social media gets ripped for this. Oh, he throws a pick six, one of the most ugliest plays we've seen, this and that. When in reality, he's just doing his job, still tries to go do his job, realizes other people don't do their job. He's going to take a safety, which means the Rams are then going to get the ball back. And he is aware enough to know that his throwaway is over here. He can't account for his throwaway not finishing the play. So
I just thought that was an interesting take on things. Does that change your perception of that play at all there, Dad?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously my perception always was that there was a problem in pass protection there. That's number one. And Jordan Love gets put in an untenable situation, but you cannot bloop that throw up. You have to throw it high and outside and try to get it out of bounds. And he said that, and he knows that. So, obviously it's not all on Jordan Love there. It gets back to what I said before. I didn't think the offensive line played that well. It looked like Schmitty, your boy, Josh Myers, went the wrong way. They just want to split the field down the middle, and he goes where there's two guys and leaves the four guys, and that causes the other guys to have to overcompensate. So clearly Josh Myers and Walker's been holding. I didn't like what I saw from him in this game. Looked to me like he had a couple holding calls that didn't get called. So Walker looked like a real stalwart, but now we're kind of pining for our first round draft pick, Mr. Morgan, aren't we? So again, we don't know what this team's going to be till Edrin Cooper's on the field, till we get Mr. Williams on the field, till we get Morgan on the field. And there's another guy, boys, that I think is going to be a big contributor before this is all over. And that's our running back from USC, Marshawn Lloyd. So a lot to look forward to down the road, to come together, and guys who aren't on the field now that can make the team look a lot better.
And a guy that maybe a lot of Packer Nation is frustrated with, he's been oft injured, but Christian Watson was a big part of why we beat the Lions and the Chiefs when we went and beat them back-to-back last year. And I think we're a different looking team with the dynamicism that he brings to the table as well. So we'll see what that looks like when that all comes together. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed at least. Schmitty, I gotta give you a little bit of credit here and maybe just give a bit of appreciation for the week that Caleb Williams put together. Do you want to talk about what you saw from him this past weekend?
Oh, Griffey, just what a fantastic.
That was tough for me to do. Could you
him.
hear it? Would that hurt?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're coming around. Well, you planted your flag very early in Jaden Daniels, and that kid is balling. He might be the MVP front runner right now. That's how good he's playing. So it's not too many people made the proclamation that you did. So I can't really jump down your throat because you picked him over Caleb. But that's 1 and 2, I think, at this point. Caleb Williams looks really good. DJ Moore's a heck of a guy to throw the ball to. But the arm talent was undeniable. He looks really good. The Bears are 3 and 2. More so, Griffey, the entire division is over 500. I haven't been more excited about what's to come, these divisional matchups. Like, I think the Bears can match up now with the Lions, Vikings, and the Packers.
That's what you're excited about? Nice.
No, I'm just saying, Griffey, I'm excited about, like, it's always nice to get just an easy win. We got so many of them with Aaron Rodgers. So all you ungrateful people better be thanking Aaron for all the pleasantry he gave you for 10 plus years. Griffey, this is now a real division. You have to actually worry about the Bears and what they're doing. They look competent enough to where I said they can beat any team in the division. I believe that. I think any of these teams, it's going to be a real rock'em sock'em this later half of the year when it comes when these guys are playing each other. It wouldn't surprise me if every team goes 500 within the division. That's how good I think these matchups are going to be.
Well, I felt as though it would have been a little sheepish for the rest of the show if I didn't at least give Caleb Williams credit for the best game in his young career. But let's remember who he was playing against in the Carolina Panthers there. Much maligned defense, and I don't look for that streak to continue. I think he's going to come back to earth. Dad, I think you've been waiting for Sam Darnold to come back to earth, and we saw that a little bit. But they still got it done against the Jets. The Vikings are undefeated, and I is willing to believe that they might be a little bit better than people had them coming into the year as I was. I didn't believe they'd be undefeated, and holy smokes, what do we have to do about those guys here?
Well, just as we found out last year, toward the end of the year, our team completely changed when Mr. Aaron Jones got back in the lineup. The kid is unbelievable the way he slithers through the line. Did you see the difference in the running game in the first half of that Jets ball game when Jonesy was in there versus when they got their backup running back in there? It was night and day, and all of a sudden Darnold couldn't do anything. And Jonesy hurts his hip. We don't know exactly how bad it's going to be. I guess he had an MRI on Monday, and it sounds like they're talking about it might not be too bad. But if he can't hold up for the whole year, that's a huge blow to their team. And I think you're seeing Sam Darnold very much the benefactor, the beneficiary, I should say, of that incredible running game when Aaron Jones is in there. And I think it's a different ball game when they don't have that dynamic runner. So the Vikings could very, very quickly take a turn without Jonesy if for some reason he's not able to go. So the congratulations to the Vikings. They've played well. They've had a nice start. As I say, their kicker's been pretty much perfect. This is how slim the margins, as Smitty will tell you. In Vegas, the point spreads are rarely more than 3.5 points, right, Smitty? Every week, week in and week out. If the Vikings kicker misses a couple kicks, they're 3-2. So, good for them. They're 5-0 right now. It's a long season. Let's see what happens. I agree with Schmitty. We're going to have a lot of exciting football in the old black and blue division of the North, the one-time Central Division of the National Football Conference. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I kind of miss the old NFC Central days when we had Warren Sapp and Brett Favre going at it. I'd love a little rivalry with Baker Mayfield. I think that would be interesting to watch. But nonetheless, we still got a lot of good competition this year. We got the Arizona Cardinals coming up this week, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Looks like we are favored fairly heavily, -5. So we'll take it. But Schmitty, what do you think about our chances with Arizona coming to town?
We are 5-point favorites, as you said, Griffey. 50 points right now is the over-under. And it means that both the defenses are spotty or the offenses are really good. One of the two. Well, both offenses are really good. The Cardinals have the 13th ranked offense in the league. They have the 26th ranked defense in the league. Packers are a little bit better on offense and slightly better on defense. So there's going to be a lot of points scored, certainly. Kyler Murray, he can be a problem. He every once in a while, you watch the Niners game from a couple weeks ago, like he has it in him to put in like MVP type performances. So he is one that you'll have to account for. And I'd be curious again to key in on how our edge rushers manage this guy and how a 4-3 defense keeps it contained on a guy that can run at any moment. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a problem. He's already become the favorite target. I love James Conner in that offense, just a hard-nosed runner, north and south kind of guy. Their defense, not, again, 26th ranked. There's really not too many highlights on that defense, and one that you would hope the Packers can take advantage of. Griffey, I want to call out the performance of some of these offensive linemen. Sean Ryan, Zach Tom. I hope they give this man a contract at the season's end. But we're getting some really good play out of a couple of those guys. So with that, I really want to see Josh Jacobs touch the ball 20 times. I think it's really important. If not him 20 times, like 25 times total amongst all of our running backs, because I think that's really going to matter in trying to keep their offense off the field. So, Griffey, I don't want to be the kiss of death. I'm 0-5 and pick 'em. It's kind of indicative of how my gambling season has gone this year. Griffey, I'm gonna do it to us again. Kiss your butt goodbye. The Packers lose this game 26-22. I'm a sad boy. You're a sad boy. The family from Washington that came up, mommy, Susie, daddy, Tommy, they're all sad. I'm sad. I'm putting my fingers in the I got a Syncerator at home, Griffey. I turned it on. I haven't turned it on in like 3 days. That thing can rifle. If I put my hand in there, that just might be a good time. That's going to be a better time than watching the game on Sunday.
Holy smokes, my friend. Well, this is a week old. You're up to 0-5 now. We moved to 2-3 there, Dad. But yeah, I hope you had a bad enough injury last year. We don't need to repeat that. You had a run-in with the knife that wasn't quite as dramatic as what you just painted a picture of there. But hold up your hand for the camera here. How's that coming along? That's never going to be the same again, is it?
That's January 6th, Griffey. I stormed the Capitol. And that's what I ended up with.
Oh, boy. They're going to shut us down, Schmitty. Holy smokes. We saw the Cardinals lose a one-score game to Buffalo. They blew out the Rams. One-score game to Detroit. They had a bit of a setback against Jaden Daniels. Those guys have been hot. But then they go and beat San Francisco. So these guys have had an interesting run of things in the early going. Played a lot of good football teams so far. What do you think about our chances against them here, Dad?
Schmitty is on the dark side right now. He hasn't quite come out into the light of day, and he was darn close to getting that thing right this week. So it's hard to fault him too much. But I just think here's going to be the key, and Schmitty hit on part of it. We're going to get the running game going. And if you notice this week, we did not have much under center running game and therefore very little under center play action. The play action game that Jordan Love has become so adept at. And the thinking is, and there was even some admonition of this by the coach, that the knee did not allow Jordan Love to be mobile enough to do some of those under center runs where you got to sprint out to the side and get to the mesh point. And when you do that, you give that defense an extra half second to get their linebackers back. So we get that running game going, get Jordan Love in rhythm, and I think LaFleur will find a way to do that. And then we've proven, Schmitty, that we can contain running quarterbacks. The first two, games of the year, that's all we did. Maybe that's what our pass rushers are still doing, Schmitty. Maybe somebody forgot to tell them we're not rushing. And look, that's kind of what it looks like they're doing, doesn't it? They're rushing in lanes, going straight up the field. So we're all set for that. That won't be a problem. And then here's the key, Schmitty. Edgerrin Cooper has got to be on that field to run down that running quarterback and make him pay when he tries to use his legs. And so the only caveat is, does our kicker do it 2 weeks in a row and make his kicks? And if he does, we will find a way to win the ball game 31-24 and emerge victorious as long as everything goes well with the kicking game and we get that play action pass game going.
Oh, it's becoming tougher and tougher to pick the Packers consistently for me this year. I really kind of had pretty darn high expectations. Well, I was right there with Schmitty to start the year when he was popping champagne, and I was ready to do it. I had visions of New Orleans in my head, and I still do. But I think we got to start to consistently put out the type of performance that we, saw at the end of last year. Maybe not quite to that level, but consistency has to be improved. We got it done this last week at the end when we needed to. I look for us to take the first steps in that direction towards more consistent play And let's have a start to finish ball game. And I think we win by a couple scores against Arizona. That's my prediction. That's what I want to see happen. So we'll wish for the best that way. I don't have a score for you guys. I'm not really into the scores. I'll let Schmitty deal with the over and unders and the spreads and so forth. Just win, baby. That's all I care about. And I'm all in with the Packers because I traded away Jaden Daniels in fantasy, and I'm switching over to Jordan Love, and we're not looking back. So I'm all in with the Pack. Boys, want to give you a shot to give the viewers any closing words from this week. Schmitty, what do you have for the folks?
Folks, Packers Corner faithful, day 10 since we haven't signed Brandon McManus. Nervous Narvi, I believe, is what he was described as on Sunday. He is going to ruin your life. And so I want you to send him words of encouragement. Words of encouragement. So all of his social media, you will be the difference on Sunday. So send him hearts, women, maybe come on to him in his DMs, things to uplift him. We need him to feel very spirited and positive on Sunday, and he will be the key as to why we win the game. That's all I got.
I love the positivity, Schmitty. It's a good look for you there. Dad, any closing thoughts for this week?
Yeah, the big narrative last week in LA was, no Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp. Nobody mentioned that we're playing without Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. I didn't hear a word about that. And so we need to get these guys. There's a chance Watson's going to be on the field, and he maybe as much or more than any other ball player we have changes the game, because his mere presence on the field is an ability to stretch that field that opens it up underneath for Jaden Reed and Dobbs. And when Wicks gets his head screwed on straight, and now, we got a real game, or what do we got? Some kind of a cross between, Travis Kelsey. What's his name? Kelsey.
Tucker Kraft.
We got Tucker Kraft, and he's kind of a Kelsey and a George Kittle all wrapped up into one. And he's a weapon for us. And don't forget Luke Musgrave. Sometime he's going to sneak in there and run right down the middle of the field with that blazing speed and have a big play for you. So we get Watson and Dobbs on the field, and it can look like a totally different thing. And we've seen this with Jordan Love. We've seen him come into his own. I think he's just a hair off. If all of a sudden we get the play action game going and get things rolling and get some rhythm, it could look a lot different. And I'm saying we're just a whisker away from that, and hopefully it comes together this week.
I love to hear it. I'm looking for the Bears to drop one early in the morning against Jacksonville over across the pond there. That's the next big one I got circled on my calendar. I want to see a different performance out of Caleb Williams. So we'll check in on that conversation next week. Gentlemen, great to be with you here, and I hope you have a great evening.
I got the Colby Jack cash, and we'll see you next week.